Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to Forgiven AF Podcast. Y'all remember that we use this podcast for marketing material for our mentorship program, Second Chance Mentors, where we work with the young boys that have been kicked out of school in our Mansfield School District, Mansfield, Arlington, kind of the DFW area. If they get kicked out of school for like fighting or drugs, we go to the school where they get sent to. I hang out with them. I like to share my story with them. You guys know my story. And if they decide they want to be a part of a program, they apply. And then basically the stipulations for them are they have to do 2 hours of community service every month. They have to have a sit-down meeting with a mentor once a month where they do short-term, long-term goals. They have to have good attendance in school. They have to have no run-ins with the police or like getting in trouble in school. And then lastly, which is I think is the most important part, is they have to do 2 hours of community service. The reason I love that is because giving back has become my drug of choice. I know that sounds crazy, but the reason I can stay away from drugs now is because I get a better high off of helping people, off of, even if it doesn't help someone, I just like to be able to be there and be available. You know what I mean? I don't want to try to say that like I'm doing anything special, but I think I probably get more out of this program than the kids do because it keeps me on track. It makes me, accountable to them. It makes me, not want to risk doing some things that I would do in the past just because I know I've got these kids looking up to me now. So that's something that's really special to me. I know that I fell off. It's been almost 2 months since I've shot an episode, and we've just had a lot going on. Full transparency and disclosure with you guys is our second gym that we have that's in Midlothian, Texas, down the street from our Mansfield location. That building got bought out, and unfortunately the new owner is, and rightfully so, is raising the rent because he's doing a bunch of work to the place, but it's just not in our budget to stay. So we're going to kind of refocus back to Mansfield and just kind of focus on what we have there and have to close this one down. So it kind of feels like a business failure, but at the same time, I know that God does things for a reason, and I'm going to just trust him on this one. And I really think that there'll be blessings in the long run that come through this. And I know that sounds bad, and I don't mean for it to sound like that to the members that are here. We've loved you. We've been super thankful for you guys, but it's just kind of a new phase, So couple things real quick with the mentorship, and then I'll get to the episode. We took some boys down to the homeless, down to Lancaster Ave here in Fort Worth where the homeless people are. And we let each one of the boys get a $20 and go to the dollar store and put together a bag of stuff they thought would be cool for someone out on the street. So each one of them spent $20, and we went down there and we passed these bags out to all the homeless people. And what was really cool is when we passed the bag out, I made the homeless person, I asked the homeless person to give these young men their best piece of advice that they wish someone would have taught them at 16 years old. And some of the advice is just like spot on. It's advice that's so necessary and that these boys wouldn't get if we were taking them to speak to doctors and lawyers, and you know what I mean? Man, so it's so cool to see it both ways. And then we also have a golf tournament coming up this weekend that a huge blessing. Todd Tenori, who is like the mayor pro temp in Mansfield, he has El Primo's restaurant and the Vault restaurant, and he lets us be the title sponsor. So like the proceeds and stuff gets sent back to Second Chance Mentors. And this is the third year he's let us do this, which is a huge blessing. So if you guys are in the Mansfield, Arlington area, please go support El Primo's restaurant and the Vault because they're doing really good things to pour back into the community and into these young men that, that need a little bit more accountability like I did at that age, So, all right, anyways, enough about me rambling. I know y'all are tired of that.
I didn't know if I was supposed to talk, but I wanted to say, man, that's so dope, bro.
No, man.
The things you're doing, man.
Thanks,
oh, my
Ryan.
God.
That means a lot.
That's next level.
That means a lot. And I feel the same way about what you're doing. I've already told you already I'm jealous about the way that you put out your content.
I appreciate that.
Bro, I'm not lying. I don't know how I even came across your page. It might have been something Hayes shared. It might have been something Hayes shared. And I was like, and when I was listening to you talk, for one, I love your accent, right? Like, I'm not going to lie. Is it African or is it Jamaican?
It's Caribbean, but it's not Jamaican. Shout out to the Trini Massive. It's Trinidad and Tobago.
Trinidad and Tobago. That's cool. Your accent's awesome. I love it. So that's really what drew my attention. I was like, oh, man, where's this guy from? And then what you were talking about was awesome. So I was like, man, I need to get back onto these podcasts. I said, this guy would be awesome because I know he's got good information. And
I appreciate that.
So I'm really excited you're here. Ryian Williams is my guest name, and he does a lot of speaking, does a lot of coaching, does mentoring type stuff. So First of all, man, I guess we just cut straight to it.
No,
Could you
for
kind
sure.
of let our listeners know, like, who is Ryan Williams, where you from, kind of your upbringing, just all the details?
Yeah, let's get into it. You already sold out where I'm from, but before I go there, I just want to say, Shawn, I appreciate you having me on the podcast, bro.
Absolutely.
And just based on the little that I've seen and then going down the rabbit hole of your podcast, man, you are a dope human being.
Oh, thank you, man.
You're a cool person just based on what I've seen. And just when I met you just now, bro, I could feel the genuine goodness coming from you, bro.
That
So
means
I
a lot to
appreciate
me,
it.
man. That means a lot.
But all right, let's jump into where I'm from. So Ryan Williams, aka Ryan Inspires, aka the little engineer that could. That's the name I go by. And I'm originally from Mansfield, Texas. No, I'm joking. As you can tell, I'm from the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago. So I grew up in the twin island of Trinidad and Tobago. It's a small island south of the Caribbean, right above Venezuela. Has about 1.2 million people. So very small. I mean, that's Texas,
Yeah.
divided by however much, right? And I spent 18 years in Trinidad and Tobago. So I genuinely grew up in
You're
Trinidad
really
and
from
Tobago. I'm
there,
really
yeah.
from there. I'm not like one of those people that has
That your
parents
mom's from there? Yeah,
No.
yeah.
I grew up there, came to America in 2010 to go to school in Wichita Falls. I don't know if you know where that is.
I do.
Nobody
It's a weird place to go from Trinidad to Wichita Falls.
Man, like,
Huge culture difference.
different. It ain't got no beaches there, but it do have a lot of Caribbean people there
Really?
because it's a Caribbean students organization that was recruiting.
Oh, that's cool.
So I met people from Jamaica, St. Lucia, Grenada, St. Kitts. I
That's
mean,
cool.
you name it,
So
right?
you kind of felt comfortable when you got there?
I did feel like it was, like a little bit of home. Like it wasn't home, but
Yeah.
it made the transition easier.
Because when I think of Wichita Falls, I think about country old white dudes
Oh.
like farming, and you know what I mean. Like I don't think of. So that's cool that they have
No.
that integrated community.
It's different. It's not. It's not. I don't know if it's like that right now because the Caribbean Students organization is not as big.
Yeah,
When we got there, it was big. Like we
That's
would
cool.
have Caribbean students festivals and stuff like that.
That's
So
awesome.
it made it feel a little bit like home.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
there was so many other people that we met. I met my wife there. She's from Antigua. She's from a whole different island. I would have never met her if I didn't go to that school.
But around the same area in the Caribbean.
Yeah, she's just like a little bit north, closer to Jamaica
That's cool.
than I am. Yeah. So I spent 4 years there. Then I came down to Arlington. And then from Arlington, I went over to Irving. And then I started working. I went back to school at University of Texas, Arlington, not UTA, not
Yeah.
Austin,
Yeah.
UT Arlington. And then I went to work where I currently work at Alcon, one of
And
the
That's
medical
awesome.
device company.
And what's your family situation like?
So I am married and been married for 7 years.
Okay.
My wife gonna correct me.
Don't
bro.
look so questioning. Don't just be confident in your answer.
But also have a son who's 6.
That's
so,
great.
Yeah.
That was another thing that really drew me to your stuff is like the way you're a father and the way you were so present with your kids and
Yeah.
stuff you got going on,
Yeah.
What was your I don't mean to ask like too personal. So what was your
No.
family situation like growing up?
So growing up, I had both my mom and my dad in my life for sure. Grandmother, active grandmother, grandfather. May they rest in peace, both of them. A aunt that lived right down the street, 2 streets down, that was like another mother to me.
So you had a solid family foundation.
Man,
growing
solid,
up.
man. And then I had, it was the Caribbean. It's back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm that guy now. Back in
That's
the day.
true. That
It was really village-like. So it was kids on the streets all the time. So all my neighbors, I call them auntie. I say their name.
Yeah.
It's not like miss. It's auntie this, auntie this. And they had right to correct me. They had a right to tell me go inside or tell me, hey, you're not supposed to be doing this. Or yeah, you could do like, I could ask them
Yeah.
for permission. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So that's how I grew up.
it's so different than the United States.
It was, I mean, I don't know. You tell me.
It's very different.
They're
from
very different.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I mean, maybe there are some close knit neighborhoods and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But ours was always like when I picture the United States and I think of another neighbor correcting one of the kids, I picture the parents being like, "Don't talk to my kids."
No,
like, you know what I mean?
man.
Like,
I'm telling you, like your neighbors, they're allowed to spank you too.
That's-
You act
no,
on your
that's-
teachers. I mean, it was.
it's cool though. That accountability is probably what keeps all the keeps
Oh,
kids
yeah.
in line. And then having that close family where your family's all close and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's just like, I think of accountability. I think of like, you got a bunch of different people watching your back,
Yeah, for sure. You had to get creative to get in trouble, man, because everybody's watching.
Yeah,
Everybody's watching.
that's good. So how did you get yourself into like your coaching and mentoring stuff? Like, how did you get into that?
Yeah, so I started off, I mean, I'm sure everyone could relate to this, right? Like as you're growing, you're being influenced by people, they're guiding you, and you have people who are seeing the best in you before you even see it in yourself,
Oh, that's really good.
right? And at that time, I didn't call them mentors. It was just like coaches or aunts or uncles or cousins or friends. And now I could hindsight look back and be like, okay, that was a mentor in my life or that was a coach in my life. And I had actual soccer coaches who really poured into me, a couple of them that really poured into me.
Yeah.
So as I continued growing and struggling with my purpose in life, as you get older, you start going to school, college, and things start being more important than other things.
Yeah.
I started to get really heavily involved in self-help books and self-growth, etc. So
Yeah.
I go into counseling or meeting with people who I thought were wiser than me and trying to understand certain things.
Yeah.
And at a point in time, I just felt like, all right, I'm really good. I feel like I'm consuming a lot, and I feel like I'm better than I was when I first started the journey.
That's good.
And it was time to be a contributor. And during the pandemic, it just created that opportunity where I went and I got a life coaching license.
Yeah. No, it's so good. And I just want to hit on a couple things.
No, go ahead.
One, the sports part, right? Like a lot, I feel like kids that get to play sports growing up, it just creates an environment of like being part of a team and having, you know what I mean? And it's not just all about yourself. It kind of takes away that selfish ambition.
Yeah.
I also, one of the most important things that I teach every kid that I talk to is the importance of mentorship. Now, I don't, like you said, you weren't calling it mentorship, but you had a bunch of men or people that were pouring into you in life, speaking life into you, telling you about your good characteristics.
Yep.
A lot of our kids in our program don't have that.
Man.
They don't have a grandfather or a father around. They're being raised by a single mother who's working 2 jobs to pay the bills. They have all this freedom, but no one's pouring into them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and that's the important part of it, because you often don't, like if you're really close to a picture, you don't get the full picture.
That's good.
But if somebody else is behind you looking at that picture, they can tell you, oh, there's blue up on that corner. If you just step back a little bit, you can see it. And sometimes that's all you need. Somebody to just tell you, like, for real though, just, hey, you're a good person. You made a mistake. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. You're not bad. The decision you made was bad. You're okay. You can recover from this.
That's so good.
Yeah.
What's your faith like? Do you believe are you a Christian or?
Oh man, I'm Jesus all the way, team Jesus, man. No,
was it like that growing up? Do y'all grow up? Is Jesus in the Caribbean?
Jesus is heavy in the Caribbean.
Yeah, I don't. That sounds funny. I know Jesus is everywhere, right?
No.
But it just
but I get what you're saying. No, Jesus is heavy in the Caribbean.
That's
man.
cool.
So
I love that.
People in Trinidad and people from Trinidad, big up all my Trini people. They would know that we say God is a Trini, right? We say that because there's so many things that could have happened to Trinidad in terms of like natural disasters, like hurricanes coming straight for us and then making a right turn us to the last minute. They're like, oh no, God has to be Trinidadian, right?
That's because He's got you protected. That's good.
But no, I call my mom like a super. I'm like, shout out to my mom. She really taught me about, at that time I didn't seem important, but she really taught me about Jesus and God and Christianity and faith. But I look at her as like a super Christian.
I love that.
And my aunt who lived down the road, man, I'm talking about since I was small, they're making us go to church, prayer meetings. They got prayer meeting at the church, prayer meeting in the community. They had kids prayer. Man,
That's funny.
Yeah.
No, it's good though, man. And look, it's sometimes at a young age we don't necessarily understand. You know what I mean? What we're learning or what's going. But it's funny, like in the long run, you look back and you're like, okay,
yeah, it's in there somewhere. Like, so all the parents out there who think, I don't know if it's sticking. It's in there.
Yeah,
and you might stray, but
but still,
it's going to bring you back.
Yeah,
it's going to bring you back.
That true north because you have that
exactly
that faith.
Yep,
that's awesome. So let me ask you a couple questions here. You said COVID hit, and then that's when you really. And is it because of the way online coaching and mentoring became so like it kind of blew up during COVID, right? Because people couldn't really get out, and so is that kind of what you were saying with the COVID part?
Not necessarily. I was not that what's the word? That visionary to see that it was going into this online space.
Okay.
It was really me just genuinely trying to understand the principles of life coaching.
Okay.
So I genuinely did it to learn the principles, and then it's kind of like a tattoo artist, right?
Yeah.
When you get your tattoo artist license or your barber license, the first piece people you're gonna be your clients are your friends and like your homies, right?
Yeah.
So my wife's nephew did some life coaching with him, and then my cousin did some life coaching with her. So I was just practicing the principles that I've learned on them. And then I started getting more involved with like the Big Brother Big Sister program. And I was a big. And then I started to be more involved with professional programs that I was involved in. We were doing more outreach. And you realize that you're seeing these young people and you're talking to them and understanding like, where they come from and what they're dealing with. And you're like, these kids that you see crashing out, that you see doing all these crazy things, one, they have it harder because they have social media, so everybody sees everything. And
true.
two, they're not bad people. They're just making bad decisions. And it's because they don't have somebody, like you said, to pour into them, to tell them, hey, hit them a little tap. No, that's not it. Don't do that. Nope, I did that. That wasn't good.
That's so good,
right?
Man. You're literally talking about what I believe is like the key to changing people's lives.
For sure.
That's so good.
So that is what really got me going. And then understanding that, look, you need, like, even I need coaches.
Yeah.
It's not just like young people. It's
correct.
As long as you're going to need somebody to check you, help you. And can I go in? You asked about faith. Can I go into a story real quick?
Yeah, please.
Now, we all know about King David, right?
Yes.
We all know that King David, he was one of them ones.
Yep.
Samuel anointed him. He was a man after God's own heart. Even David had Samuel as a mentor, right?
Yep.
Samuel died. What happened? One of the worst decisions David made was after Samuel was not there.
Yeah, with Bathsheba or whatever.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. So he's back in those days. David was king. The king is supposed to be on the front lines in the fight, in the war. David was up in Mansfield chilling. His battles going on in Fort Worth. He said, "Nah, I'm gonna stay home and I'm gonna chill." So he was just chilling, right? He goes up on the balcony, sees Bathsheba. He's like, "Oh yeah, I like that. I want that."
Yep.
He's the king. If he says he won it, he gets it, right? Worst decision he could have made. He was not walking in his purpose at that time, right?
That's so good, yeah.
What he did, he used his flesh to try and solve the problem now. So then he goes and gets her husband murdered.
Sends him to the front lines.
Exactly. Send him where he was supposed to be, right? Man. In the front lines. He dies. And then I always think about, when I read that story and I thought about it, I was like, man, what if David had like a mentor at that time to just be like, hey, yo, Dave, where you at? Are you home? But there's a battle. You should be on the front line. What are you doing?
Bro? Why was no one checking him?
Right? Like, why was nobody checking him? Why is nobody like, oh no, David, you know you should, because now you're not where you're supposed to be.
No, that's
now you're
so
dealing
good.
With something that's
so good.
Wait, it changed his entire relationship with God at that point.
You know, I've heard that story 50 times. I've never had anyone bring that aspect of it, of him not being where he was supposed to be.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's not being where he's supposed to be, and he doesn't have somebody telling him, what's your purpose? You're the king. What's your purpose? To be on the front line in the battles, right? Why are you leading the people from the front? Why are you home chilling?
So good. You even said earlier, you said that everyone needs to continue having coaches and mentors, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like once a person feels like, oh, I'm at the top, there's no one else that can help me, you're maxed out at that point on. You know what I mean? Like, to get to the next level for me, I mean, I've advanced through my life. I feel like I've stepped up, but I always try to, and my mentor might change, right? Because I might get to a point where, okay, that mentor was great to that point, but now I need to find someone that gets me to the next level.
Yep.
And also, so when it comes to asking and finding a mentor, it's like, it's also an honor. When someone says to you like, hey, Ryan, will you mentor me? You know, like, it's an honor, right?
It makes my heart melt.
Yeah, me too, bro. Me too. Because it's like, oh man, you see something in me.
Yeah.
That you feel like you can learn from me. So it's not just like, a lot of people are scared to ask people to be their mentor because they feel like they're going to be a burden. Right. But it's also a blessing to those people.
For sure, it is a blessing. It goes both ways because you learn a lot. Not just, for instance, I always talk about this time I went to my alma mater, University of Texas Arlington, to do speed mentoring, and it's like speed dating, but I went there as the mentor. But I mean, I learned so much from those kids.
So
it's
true.
It's a two-way street.
Two-way street. I learn a lot from the young boys in our program.
Exactly, right?
You learn a lot when you, because sometimes teaching, you're taking lessons in that
Oh
you don't
yeah,
realize, that you're.
yeah.
So let me jump to this questions, okay?
Yep,
I'm
sure.
gonna jump
Go
at
ahead,
it.
go ahead.
So what dealing with the men and the coaching and the mentor stuff that you deal with, and without putting like names out there, like I'm not trying. What have you seen are some of the biggest struggles that men nowadays are dealing with?
All right, so one of them is definitely purpose. I feel like that's one of the main things I see, purpose. Because a lot of men, they walk around and they feel like there's more to them,
Yeah,
but they don't know what that more is. And they haven't gotten the time or the person to help pull that more or define what
yeah,
that more is. So, and we all know that anybody who doesn't have purpose, they're just drifting, they're just reactionary. They're just going to be reacting as opposed to being proactive.
that's so good.
So
Yeah,
the purpose part of it really helps, especially if you could define your purpose and figure it out, it really helps you then with your morals, values, your direction,
that's good.
your moral compass, all those things, right?
Yeah,
So I think one, understand that they have purpose, and two, finding what that purpose
that's
is.
so good. I think one of the things that purpose is so important, also in the same boat, and I think that that's so true.
Hmm.
Is that we get caught up in things that are really not important or irrelevant when we don't have a purpose because, like you said, we're reactionary to such small different things.
Yeah,
If we have our purpose and our purpose is like our end goal or what we want
yeah,
to get to, it weeds out a lot of the distractions and
for
the things that
sure.
we think are important. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
you know what you could say yes to, what you say no to. You already know if it don't align with your
If
purpose,
it
you don't
don't,
need to be doing it.
that's so good. Think about how, all the troubles that would stop people from having that just get stuck in nonsense. Just really, and their problem is they just don't know what their goal or
They're
their
just
purpose is.
yeah, they're just doing stuff.
That's so good. All right, what's another one?
The next, okay, so I like to call this one pressure management, and I know you're a dad, you're a husband, you can attest to this. I call it pressure management. I don't know if that's the correct term, but we have to be so much to so many people that the pressures of life can get to us. So you're trying to be a good husband, a good father, you're trying to be a good business leader, you're trying to be a good friend, you're trying to be a good son, all these things, a good brother, right? You're trying to be all these things. And when you look up at the end of the day, you really don't feel like you have enough time to be all these things.
So that's good.
So all those pressures, you're trying to then, I personally try to give a system that helps you prioritize these different pressures that you're dealing with,
You have
right?
no idea how good this. Listen, I think that that's like almost for me. I think that's one of the things. Not normally am I sitting in these conversations and having on this podcast and someone's bringing up a point that men struggle with, and it's something that was so dialed in
Oh
right
yeah.
towards me.
Hmm.
I think that's something that I've been dealing with recently is the pressure management.
It's
I feel like
tough.
I have to maintain an image to certain people and I got to make sure. And then I start feeling like, oh, I'm letting my son down or I'm letting my wife down or I'm letting my members down or the boys are down. And I have so much going on. And you know what happens to me sometimes? I get stuck.
Yeah.
I get stuck. I just want to go lay down in the middle of the day, and I don't even want to deal with any of it because I
Right.
get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I deal with that regularly.
Yeah.
And I was telling my wife can tell when it starts to happen.
Yeah.
So tell me, what is your advice for how people handle that?
So I definitely feel like you have to prioritize certain things at certain times, right? Like I know that I have to pour into my wife, I have to pour into my son, I have to help myself with my mental, physical, spiritual part of it. So you just have to, I personally believe that you have to prioritize which part of that you're going to do, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you it's you're gonna get spread so thin if you try to give 100% to all of those things. Like being real, you're going to be spread very thin.
Man,
Certain days, like if you have like a big business meeting coming up, right? You're gonna have to prioritize work for the next couple weeks. Obviously, you can't
so
just
they
be like,
can move. So sometimes they'll move up and
it
down, right?
has to move up
Okay,
and down. There's there's no
that's good.
perfect human being who can give 100% of everything. Actually, I know of one, but he died and he'll be risen soon. Back in the
So
day,
good,
right?
yeah,
But it has to fluctuate, and you have to get over the guilt that you
yeah.
feel when those things are fluctuating with your family. My wife and my son, I try to communicate that. If there's something going on, if there's like some Ryan inspires thing I'm trying to get done, okay, Daddy could only play with you for 20 minutes today. I'm gonna make that time quality time though. but it could only be 20 minutes today. And after that, I
Good.
got to go back. But you just have to
I know. I
prioritize
really
and
like
allow it to
that.
be flexible.
And you were talking about getting spread thin. I think a lot of times with me, what I do is I have my priorities over here that are important, and I know those. But you know what I let even creep in over here is other people's opinions. And then
Oh,
I start letting other people's opinions. I start living my life based off of, oh, I need to do this, but that person might think this about me, and it could be one person. It could be one person that is completely irrelevant to me. I'm such a people pleaser, and I care.
That's me too.
I
Man.
care so much about what people think about me that I'm allowing. I can't get out the house because my shoes don't match my shirt perfect enough, and I know someone's going to be like, "Man, why you got two different types of gray on?" Like, and now I'm worried. Now that's in my head when I really need to be worrying about my son and my wife and my businesses. And you see what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Like I allow stuff that's really not even. And now that just clouds me and spreads me even thinner, and it's like it's completely irrelevant. Like,
man, that's so deep. That's me too. I'm like that too, bro. I'm like so people pleaser. If I have a conversation and I walk away, it happened to me yesterday. I'm playing the conversation back in my
me
mind.
too. Of how you could, what you could have said better, or what could have been better.
Yeah, like did I
100%.
Did I offend them? Did I say the right way?
I always feel like I offended somebody. And I'm texting them, oh, I'm so sorry. And they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like most of the time, you know? That's so funny. I feel like we're a lot alike like that.
I like to ask myself, is this the most important thing I could be doing at this time?
Ooh, that's good.
Sometimes even your business, whatever it is, your job is not the most important thing you should be doing at that
That's
time.
so good. It's so good, dude.
Right?
Because we feel like we're doing something. Sometimes we're just making ourselves busy.
Just doing.
Like I need to do. And really, and then you know what? And my son's in there in his bedroom, and he could have something going on, but because I'm so worried about doing, at that point, I feel like my priorities need to shift. I've never, and I've always thought it was priorities need to be locked in, like do, but I can never make that work. And just hearing you say, hey, no, they can switch. It kind of gives me a little bit of grace, and like it doesn't always have to be the main thing. No, you know?
It's not set in stone. It's like certain things it would take priority based on what's going on that day. It is what it is. Like my wife and my son, they're always going to be at the top of the list. But if I have a presentation the next day, we're not going out and eating and relaxing until midnight because I got something I got to do that's going to then probably hopefully our lives.
Yeah, hopefully elevate all three of us, right? Yeah, that's good.
So that's exactly
That's awesome. You got one more? You got a third one?
Yeah, so the third one I think is and we talked about this a little bit before, like the goal setting, the chasing. A lot of people are chasing goals or chasing dreams, and they're unsure how to do it. They're unsure how do they accomplish certain things, especially in this world now where apparently everybody's rich, everybody's driving a Lamborghini.
Oh yeah, and they're on Instagram, right?
Everybody has made $1 million a week, and here's how you do it, right?
So funny, dude. So confusing.
Right, and here's how you do it. So they're unsure about how do I set goals. And I went into this recently, and we talked a little bit about this before. I'm going to just make them privy to our conversation before. I was driving home one day, and I was thinking about goals. And God I was struggling with my own goals, and God revealed to me, he said, the goals that you're chasing, the thing that you're chasing that you're calling goals, that's your dream. Your goals are what you can control. You're supposed to be taking certain steps to get to that dream. That dream, you don't have any control of that.
That's so good. Like God's going to decide who he puts that post in front of. You don't get to pick that.
That's it.
All you got to do is make the post.
That's it. You don't.
Oh, that's so good, dude.
Your goal should be, I want to post 365 videos a day. Your goal should be, I want to go to the gym 3 times a week at 5 a.m. in the morning.
Set the goals that you can handle.
Set the actionable items.
Because you know what else happens when you think your goals are the end game, like you're saying your dreams. Yeah. And if you don't have anything that there's nothing you can do to make that happen, you're just going to get frustrated.
That's how you stop.
Yeah.
So you're like, you're in the fitness industry. You see people come in at, they come in the first January, February, and they're like, oh, let's go. We're ready. Let's go. And then they look in the mirror, they go on the scale, and they only see 1 pound, and they're like, all right, I'm done. It's not working.
So good, because they think their goal is to be completely shredded.
Exactly.
But no, their goal is 3 workouts a week, eat your protein, that's so good, man. That is so good.
It is.
Oh my God. I can't wait that's so good, man. That helps me because it's true.
Yeah.
So set goals that you can actually attain that you have something to do with it.
Man, that's what it is. It's the things that you can control, and you have to be. It's smart. Everybody talk about smart goals, right?
Yeah.
But what people do, they say smart goals, and they just put like, okay, I want to be an actor. So smart is you want to be specific, you want to be measurable, you want to be attainable, you want to be relevant, and you want to be time bound, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people they will set smart dreams or they'll set smart visions. Like I want to get a huge house, and it has to happen by February, and it's relevant because I need a house.
That's
Like you
That's
ain't
so
saving
good.
no money. You're out eating every week. You're eating. You're partying.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
No, it's so good, man.
That's not the goal, bro. The goal, trust me, if you save the money,
Save $20,000. Go to work every day.
you save those things.
Be on time.
You're gonna
to work.
get the house.
Yeah, like there's goals in between that get you there.
Exactly.
That's so good because if we just set our goals as being the end game,
hmm
we don't have any plan of how to get there.
Right.
You're just going to keep getting frustrated and fall off because you're not set up. Man, that's so good.
And that's where I come in to help you set that relevant goal
Yeah.
and that attainable. We're trying to figure that out. What's the next thing you need to do to get towards that dream, that North Star that you have, whatever it is. That's where I come in.
That's so good. And that's where you help people set up their goals and make
That's
sure
it.
that they're like, that's really good because I think, and then it also, they have the accountability aspect with you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's not only, not only you help them set it up, but then you're following up. Hey man, what'd you get done on this week? Or what'd you get done with this week?
Yeah, that's and so you mentioned that's that's the 5 things that I went over this. You could go look at the video. It's you have to be reflective and visualize. That's the first thing, right? Then you have to set those smart goals, right?
Mhm.
Then you have to identify sacrifices, and you have to have you have to be able to have an accountability partner. And I say find somebody who thinks highly of you, because that's the person you're probably not going to want to let down.
That's good.
You're going to stay more consistent with your
Yeah,
goals.
I say that too. Say someone you really respect and someone that you don't want to let down.
That's my wife. I sent her I emailed her my goals, and she's gonna check in.
Wow, that's deep. So honestly, I wish I could say that was my wife, and my wife would be awesome at it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so prideful in my marriage that I'm like, what? Because if I don't reach my goal, I would feel like she's being like, so did you do this week? And I would get offended.
No, for sure. Yeah, I get what you're saying. But that's the thing with a accountability partner. You don't want a cheerleader, but you do want somebody to call you out.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if the goal is that important to you, you want somebody to say, hey,
It's so
did you
good.
even go to the gym this
And who's
week?
better than the person that really wants to? No one wants to see me succeed like my wife does.
Exactly.
So why not bring her in as, man, that's a whole nother podcast. But that's so good.
No,
That's
for
so
sure.
good. I'm
Yeah.
going to take notes on that one. Okay, that's great. I love everything you said was awesome.
Appreciate
There's
that,
so much great content right there. The second aspect, the kind of second little thing I want to go into, and it doesn't have to be as detailed, but I really like watching you with your son. Like, not, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I it's like super weird. I really like watching your posts
Not in
with
a
your
panel
son.
van on the street.
No, yeah, not the way. That's so funny. I really like, because I could tell that that's important to you. Like, that's not just Facebook posts. You know what I mean?
No,
That's not
for
just
sure.
social media posts. And that's how my son is to me. Like, my son is my everything. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, he's my
for
favorite
sure.
thing in the world. But what I wanted to kind of ask is, do you have any advice for men? Because there's a lot of men, or there's a lot of young men who are growing up right now, and especially guys in our program. I have this set up more of like for the boys in my program.
Oh,
type
yeah,
thing.
for sure. You're good.
What do you think would be some advice for a kid growing up? Or I guess it could go both ways. I was thinking, let's say a new father
Mm-hmm.
who never had a father around.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. And I like that, right? And I read about this in the book, Shameless Plug, What in the Fatherhood. You could go check it out on Amazon, right? Again, What in the Fatherhood.
Hold on, I didn't even know that's
Oh,
your,
yeah.
you wrote a book. Man,
yeah,
plug that real quick.
I'm author, yeah.
How you leave that out of your introduction?
I know, I'm sorry, man. Sometimes it slips
It's
my
called
mind.
What the Fatherhood?
What in the Fatherhood.
Bro, what a great title
Yeah,
too.
so it's supposed to, because, like you become a father, you're going to know.
You're going to say what the all
exactly.
the time. Yeah.
So that was the ring on it. It was like, what
great.
in the fatherhood is going
I
on
love
right
that,
now,
dude.
right?
That's brilliant.
So I feel like there are 3 categories, right?
Okay.
There's the young man who had a father who was really great in his life, and now he feels the pressure of living up to that.
That's how I feel mine is.
Okay, right?
Yep.
Then you have in the middle, you had a father present, but he wasn't as active.
Okay.
That's group number 2. That's the group I fall into. And we
Okay.
can talk more about that if you want.
Yeah.
And group number 3 is the group you just talked about who'd never seen a father role model to give them any blueprint or anything. And I look at it as you have a clean slate,
Oh, that's good.
right? You have a clean slate. And it's up to you to then become what you never had. And how do you do that? There's so many resources out right now, right?
Yeah.
There's books. What in the Fatherhood? There's
On Amazon.
Right, on Amazon. There are podcasts. There are mentors you can get. You can seek wise counsel. You can go ahead and pair up. I mean, I've seen there's a new thing called like Fathers Stroller Meetup or something like that. You go, man, don't be prideful, man. Go talk to another father,
So
bro,
good.
and figure out what to do, man.
Ask for help.
And ask for help. And the biggest thing is fatherhood is nobody gave it. Like when you come out the hospital, they don't give you a book and say, "Hey, here's how to take care of your kid."
So
It's
true.
on the job training.
Yep.
And the more you do it, the better you're gonna become at it.
Man, Ryan, that's so good.
That's just what it is.
That's so good. So that, and I think that that's awesome because one of the main things that I see with when I see a new father who never saw the things that are hard or kind of hard in my mind for these kids to overcome or the young men to overcome is how do you love a woman right? Like if you've never seen how your wife or mom is treated, how do you know how, you know what I
for
mean?
sure. Yeah.
Where they get that from is movies and rap videos and
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, and that's obviously not
Yeah.
the best, right?
Yeah.
So that's always a tough one. And then also like how to, a lot of people go to the default of aggression
Yeah.
and straight anger
That's men right there.
And
That's
yeah.
the easiest motion we can
because it's just a natural thing
it's
for us,
easy
right?
for us, yeah.
But I don't get the best response. I've had to completely learn how to, I'm gonna tell you a funny little story.
Go ahead.
My dad raised us. My dad was military, and for my first 10 years of my life, was very like he never hit us. But if I got in trouble, he would grab me, put me against the wall, spit be coming out of his mouth, veins popping out. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
was terrified.
Drill
of my dad.
sergeant type
Yeah,
of vibes.
literally.
Yeah.
I was terrified of him. So that's how I was raised. So when my dad was 50, he got remarried and had a new set of twins at 50 years old. Okay.
Wow.
So at like, this is only a few years ago, I went up there to visit my dad, and my younger brother, my half brother, said something really slick to my stepmom. And when that happened, I was scared. Like I was like, and I looked over at my dad, and my dad said, "Caleb, go sit in the other room and think about what you just said." And I looked over at my dad and I said, "What?"
Yeah.
I said, "What is that?" I said, "Bro," I said, "That's not even fair, Dad. That's how you're gonna let him?" And he goes, "Shawn," he goes, I'm changed. I've learned that, you know what I mean? That's not the way. And I had been up to that point parenting my son that same way that my dad used to parent.
Oh wow.
So I went home from that trip with I haven't yelled at my son.
That's crazy.
I haven't yelled at my son. I haven't put my hands on my son to scare him. Like I've completely changed that because it didn't work for me. I ended up in prison. Like my dad that scaring me didn't make me some great person.
Yeah.
It actually messed with my insecurities and made me always trying to be a people pleaser because I wanted to please my dad so much. And you know what I mean? So like I had to learn that just because I was raised through that doesn't mean that that's the way I have to continue to raise my son, you know?
Deep, bro.
So
That's deep.
It was crazy.
That's so crazy I mean, that's healing right there, right? Like
It was.
you got to see something that, you could have seen that from any other person and might not have had that impact.
I think it had to
seeing
come
your
from my dad.
Do it. Yeah.
100%. That was a God thing. Like God was saying, "Shawn, this is how I want you to parent
For
your
sure.
son." So,
And I don't care what anybody says. A son wants to please their dad.
big time.
I still find myself at this grown age
too.
wanting to like
Me too.
please my dad low key when
Me
he's
too.
around.
No, me too,
Weird.
100%. Like 100%, and that's so good, and it's so true, and it's just I think it's just we want that reassurance from our Father, you
Right.
know?
Yes.
So
exactly.
that's what really and then think about the kids that don't have that opportunity to ever
is
have that
true.
from their father,
It's true.
and that's where I feel like people need to step in. If I could get men, and you already do it with the Big Brother program, if I could get men to find take on one other kid.
Yeah.
Take on one other kid.
Yeah.
You don't have to be another father to them, but man, text them once a week. Hey,
Man.
what's up, dude? Just checking on you. We could change the world that way.
I think that's the best way. That's how it should be, right? That's how it should be. We should be the men of the community helping the ones who
It
don't
sounds like
have.
that's how you grew up too.
It did.
Most parents probably were there in that community, but think about like the kids who didn't have, you know what I mean? They had a
Yeah.
community of
Yeah.
men and a community of people that were looking out for
Yeah,
them.
they had people who they can look to. It mightn't be your dad, but it's somebody else's dad that's
Exactly.
like, oh,
There's
okay,
someone around, you
that's
know?
how you move. Okay, that's how you greet
Exactly.
a man. That's how you
That's so
walk.
good,
You know
man.
what I mean?
That's so good.
Yeah.
Can you tell our listeners like how they can find you, all your handles, social media, YouTube, anything you got?
Yes. If you want to find me, at Ryan Inspires on Instagram, at Ryan Inspires on YouTube as well. TikTok is also at Ryan Inspires. And if you're looking for the book, it's What in the Fatherhood on Amazon. And my name is spelled uniquely. It's Ryian. So
That's perfect.
that goes in front of the Inspires and then the Williams on Amazon to find the book.
Ryan Williams.
Yeah.
Man, thank you so much for coming on the show and
Oh,
doing this with me, bro. This
thanks
was
for having me.
I mean this. This is one of my favorite episodes we've ever done.
Oh,
I swear. I'm
let's
super
go.
excited to post this.
Let's go.
And for everyone else, man, like we just got approved to be on the Adova app, which is in 63% of all inmates in the United States will have access to this app.
That's dope.
And I just think that like these are the type of conversations. You put someone in jail, right?
Mhm.
And there's good people, there's great people in jail,
Yeah.
that have made some
That's
mistakes.
they're just bad decisions,
They
not
just
bad people, man.
And then this type of content, man, because some of these guys are about to go home and be dads.
yeah.
You know what I mean? They're about to go
Yeah,
home and be a dad.
yeah,
They're about to go home and be
yeah,
a husband, and they
yeah.
haven't seen it or done it in a long time. So
Right.
I think these conversations will play a lot. Again, thank you, Ryan. You got anything you want to say before we sign off?
Nah, again, I just want to say thanks for having me, bro.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. And I want to get done with Second Chance.
I would
Foundation
love
as
for you to
well.
come talk to the
So let me
boys.
know how I could get involved, how I can add value. I want to be helping as much as I can.
I would
bro.
love that. That would be
Yeah.
really cool. And we're gonna run this back and do episode 2 of this in a
For
couple months or
sure.
something. I'll come up with something new.
Please.
So anybody listening, remember you're loved and you're forgiven, and there's nothing you can do about it. Peace.